There are days when the line between the world on our screens and the world we live in blurs into a haze of shared grief. Today is one of those days for the General Hospital family. As we continue to navigate a Port Charles grappling with bidding farewell to the legendary Monica Quatermain, we've been hit with another heartbreaking loss from the show's most iconic era. It is with a heavy heart that we report the passing of Andrew Lanzart, the man who first brought the dark, sophisticated, and unforgettable Casa del Shadow to our beloved town. He was 81 years old. For those of us who have been on this journey with General Hospital for decades, this news feels like losing another cherished piece of our own history. It's the end of an era, a final curtain call for an actor who was part of the very foundation of the show's golden age. Before there was a ruthless Mikos, before a charmingly dangerous Victor, and long before Stavros ever laid his obsessive eyes on Laura, there was Tony. And it all began with Andrew Lanzart. Let's take a moment and travel back in time. The year is 1981. The air is electric. General Hospital isn't just a soap opera, it's a cultural phenomenon. Luke and Laura are the biggest stars on the planet, their love story captivating millions of us every single afternoon. The show was a whirlwind of adventure, high-stakes romance, and edge-of-your-seat drama. Into this perfect storm of television magic walked a handsome, enigmatic man known only as Tony Castle. He was suave, he was mysterious, and he had an air of European nobility that felt both intriguing and slightly dangerous. We didn't know it then, but his arrival was the first tremor of an earthquake that would reshape the landscape of Port Charles forever. Lanzart, a talent born and raised in the Netherlands, had already made his mark in Hollywood with appearances on beloved shows like Laverne and Shirley and The $6 Million Man. But his role on General Hospital was different. It was destined to become legendary. The slow burn of his character's introduction was masterful. Who was this Tony Castle? What did he want? The revelation, when it finally came, was a bombshell. His name wasn't Castle. It was Cassadine. Tony Cassadine. For a modern viewer, that name is synonymous with villainy, with tragedy, with a legacy of dark princes and sprawling family feuds. But in 1981, it was brand new. It was a name that carried no weight until Andrew Lanzart gave it its first breath. He was the genesis. He was the one who laid the cornerstone for what would become one of the most compelling and enduring villainous families in television history. Soon after his arrival, Tony was joined by his infamous brothers, the cunning Victor, played then by the brilliant Theo Painless, and the truly unhinged Mikos, the late, great John Colicos. This trio unleashed the storyline that would define an era, the Ice Princess saga. It sounds almost fantastical now, doesn't it? A plan for world domination using a weather machine powered by the world's largest uncut diamond. It was audacious, it was campy, and it was absolutely glorious television. While Mikos was the megalomaniacal mastermind and Victor was the ruthless enforcer, Tony was different. He was the conscience of the Cassadines, the one who was seduced not by power, but by the promise of a utopia his brother dangled before him. Lanzart played this internal conflict beautifully. You could see the doubt in his eyes, the hesitation in his actions. He was a Cassadine, yes, but he wasn't entirely lost. He questioned the plan. He pushed back against the madness. He was the tragic figure trapped in a web of family ambition, the one we could almost root for. This glimmer of humanity, this internal struggle, is what made his ultimate fate so profoundly chilling and unforgettable. As Tony began to realize the true, horrifying scope of his brother's plans, he became a liability. In the cold calculus of Cassadine ambition, there is no room for doubt or dissent. And so, both Tony and his former lover, Alex Quatermain, were dealt with in the most Cassadine way imaginable. They were frozen to death off screen, their lives extinguished not in a fiery explosion, but in a silent, icy tomb. The image of Luke and Laura stumbling upon their frozen corpses on Cassadine Island is seared into the memory of every fan who witnessed it. It was a shocking, brutal end for the first Cassadine we ever met. His death served as the ultimate declaration of what this family was capable of. They would sacrifice anything and anyone, even their own blood, for their twisted vision. Tony Cassadine's tragic end wasn't just a plot point. It was the mission statement for the entire dynasty to come. Though his time on the show was relatively brief, Andrew Lanzart's impact is immeasurable. Every Cassadine that has graced our screens since, from Stephen and Stavros to Nicholas and Spencer, stands on the foundation he built. He introduced the unique blend of old-world elegance and chilling menace that would become the family's trademark. He gave them their first story, their first tragedy, and their first taste of Port Charles. He was the original, the patient zero of Cassadine fever, and for that, we owe him an immense debt of gratitude. Losing him now, especially as the show pays its respects to other titans of its past, feels particularly poignant. It's a stark reminder that the golden age we so fondly remember is slipping further into the rearview mirror. These actors weren't just playing parts. They were architects of a world we escaped to every day. They built the institutions, the Quatermain Mansion, the Cassadine Island, the very heart of Port Charles, that still stand today. So let's raise a metaphorical glass to Andrew Lanzart. Thank you for giving us Tony Cassadine. Thank you for being the first chapter in one of General Hospital's greatest stories. Thank you for your unforgettable contribution to a show that has become a part of our lives. You will be missed, but the incredible legacy you helped create will live on forever.